We all hope to stay sharp, engaged, and connected as we get older, but what does that really mean in a world that's becoming more and more digital? Well, today we're diving into a really cool project that's completely flipping the script on how we think about senior engagement. It goes way beyond just brain games and into something, well, something much more powerful. And this is really the question that's at the heart of everything. I mean, it's not just about keeping our minds active, right? It's about fighting off loneliness and giving people a real sense of purpose. This is exactly the challenge that the AIME-CS project decided to tackle, and their solution is pretty incredible. Okay, so before we get too deep, let's make sure we're all on the same page with a key concept here: cognitive stimulation. Honestly, you can just think of it like a workout for your brain. It's a structured, regular way to train things like your memory and your thinking skills, and it's been proven to be a huge boost for the health and well-being of seniors. So, if cognitive stimulation is so great, why isn't it happening everywhere, all the time? Well, that's where we run into our first big problem: this stimulation challenge. For a long time, there have really only been two main ways to go about this. On one hand, you've got the traditional way, in-person sessions with paper and pencils. And those are great, they're really effective, but they're also super expensive, and you're always limited by how many staff members you have. On the other hand, you've got the computerized approach. It definitely cuts down on the human cost, but it can be really isolating. And let's be honest, a lot of the exercises are pretty generic. And it turns out these digital solutions tend to stumble over four big hurdles. First up is just basic accessibility. Not every senior has a device or feels comfortable using one. Second, social interaction just goes out the window. Most of these programs are solo activities, which can actually make people feel even more isolated. Third, there's a real lack of meaning. I mean, how connected does a random digital puzzle feel to a person's life and their experiences? And finally, there's the issue of empowerment. The goal is usually just to maintain health, not to grow or contribute to something bigger. Now, the researchers behind this project didn't just point out the problems. They actually tried to tackle these challenges head on with a brand new platform. This was their first real step into the digital world. So they developed this free online platform called Syrup. The goal was simple, but it was also really ambitious: make top-notch cognitive stimulation available to any senior, anywhere, for free. And you know what? Syrup did some things really well. It definitely helped with accessibility by bringing in technicians to guide people, and it got people working together in group sessions. But it still didn't quite crack those deeper problems of meaning and empowerment. There was still a really important piece of the puzzle missing. And that missing piece is what led to the real breakthrough. This is the moment where the entire project takes this massive leap, from seeing seniors as just users of a system to empowering them to be creators. This was the game-changing question they asked. What if the most powerful, the most effective form of cognitive stimulation isn't just about consuming content that someone else made? What if it's about creating it? What if seniors themselves could be the ones building their own brain training tools? So think about it like this. The old way was all about passive consumption. Seniors would just sit and do exercises someone else had made for them. But this new AIME-CS model, it's all about active creation. Seniors are actually guided through the process of building new, engaging exercises for their own friends and peers. And all of a sudden, the act of creating becomes the ultimate cognitive workout. It's not just about remembering facts anymore. This taps into something called divergent thinking, which is just a fancy way of saying it's the ability to come up with new ideas and see lots of different solutions to a problem. It's a much more complex and, frankly, a much more rewarding mental exercise. Okay, so this idea sounds amazing, right? But a great idea is one thing. You've got to be able to prove that it's actually working. So how did the team go about measuring the real-world impact of this new creative model? Well, they zeroed in on four really important areas. First, are seniors actually creating things? They called this creator adhesion. Second, are other people using the stuff they create? That's user adhesion. Third, what's the social impact? Are people preferring to work alone or in groups? And finally, and this one might be the most important of all, empowerment. How does becoming a creator actually make the participants feel? And listen, this wasn't some tiny side project. We're talking about nearly 50,000 euros in funding. This was a serious, dedicated investment into building a whole new sense of purpose for an entire community. And all of this is building towards something even bigger, a much larger long-term vision. See, the goal here isn't just to make a better app or program. It's to build a vibrant, connected, and thriving community. There's a line from the project's own summary that just nails it. They call this a first step in the promotion of a virtual network of the elderly, increasing their social presence, participation, and sense of mission. It's about giving back that meaningful role in society that so often gets lost when people retire. So when you zoom out, the big picture is huge. The idea is to build a network that connects senior groups all over the country, giving them a real, tangible presence online. It's that shift from being a passive consumer to an active participant, and it restores that powerful sense of mission by showing them just how valuable their contributions are. And that really brings us to the final powerful idea to think about. I mean, sure, this project is focused on seniors, but the core idea, well, that's universal. Just imagine what our communities, our schools, our workplaces could achieve if we started to see everyone not just as a consumer of things, but as a potential creator. What could we build then?